The Old Man's Wisdom. In a small village nestled between mountains, there lived an old man known for his wisdom. His name was Aaron, and people from distant lands would travel just to seek his advice. Despite his age, Aaron's eyes sparkled with the light of knowledge and understanding. He had lived a life full of experiences, both joyful and sorrowful, and through them, he had learned the true essence of wisdom, understanding oneself and others. One day, a young man named Kian came to visit Aaron. He was troubled, burdened by the pressures of life, and confused about the path he should take. "Wise Aaron," Kian began, "I have heard of your great wisdom. I have come to seek your counsel. I am lost and do not know which direction my life should take. The world seems vast and overwhelming, and I fear making the wrong choices." Aaron smiled gently and gestured for Kian to sit beside him on the porch. Aaron poured 2 cups of tea and handed one to Kian. "Before we talk, let us drink," he said. As Kian sipped the warm tea, Aaron spoke softly. "Wisdom is not something that can be given. It is something that must be discovered within oneself. But I can guide you to the path where wisdom is found. Tell me, what is it that troubles your heart the most?" Kian thought for a moment, then said, "I fear that my dreams are too big, and that I will fail." Aaron nodded, understanding the young man's concern. The fear of failure is common, but it is also a teacher. When you fear failure, you limit yourself, but when you embrace it, you learn. True wisdom comes not from avoiding mistakes, but from learning from them. Every failure carries a lesson, and every lesson brings you closer to understanding. Kian listened intently, his heart beginning to lighten with Aaron's words. "Let me tell you a story," Aaron continued. "When I was young, I too had dreams. I wanted to travel the world, to see the wonders it held, but I was afraid, just as you are. I feared leaving the safety of my home and the familiarity of my village. But one day, I realized that my fear was keeping me from truly living. So, I left, with nothing but a small bag and my courage. The journey was difficult, and many times I thought of turning back, but I pressed on," Aaron said with a distant look in his eyes. "I encountered storms, wild animals, and many other challenges. But each challenge taught me something new. I learned to trust myself, to rely on my instincts, and to find strength in my weaknesses. The more I traveled, the more I understood that wisdom is not found in books or in the words of others. It is found in the experiences we have and in the lessons we learn from them." Kian was silent, reflecting on Aaron's story. "So, you are saying that I should not fear failure, but instead embrace it as part of my journey?" he asked. Aaron nodded. "Yes, exactly. Wisdom is the ability to see beyond the immediate outcome and to understand the bigger picture. It is the realization that every step, whether forward or backward, is part of the path to where you are meant to be. Do not be afraid to dream big, Kian, but also, do not be afraid to fail." "Thank you, Aaron," Kian said, feeling a sense of peace for the first time in a long while. "I understand now that wisdom is not about knowing all the answers, but about being willing to learn from the questions life presents us. I will carry your words with me as I continue on my journey." Aaron smiled, pleased to see the young man finding clarity. "Remember, Kian, the path of wisdom is a lifelong journey. Embrace each step with an open heart and mind." Kian left Aaron's home with a renewed sense of purpose. He no longer feared the future or the challenges it might bring. Instead, he welcomed them, knowing that each challenge was an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become wiser. As he walked back to his village, Kian looked at the mountains that once seemed so daunting. They no longer appeared as obstacles, but as part of the beautiful landscape of his life, a landscape he was eager to explore. Years passed, and Kian faced many challenges. Some of his dreams came true, while others did not. But through it all, he remembered Aaron's words and embraced each experience as a lesson in wisdom. He travelled far and wide, just as Erin had done, and with each journey, he grew in understanding. He learned that wisdom was not a destination, but a continuous journey, one that required patience, humility, and a willingness to learn. Eventually, Cian returned to his village, older and wiser. He found that Erin had passed away, leaving behind only memories and the wisdom he had shared with those who sought it. Cian felt a deep sense of gratitude for the old man who had set him on the path to discovering his own wisdom. In honor of Erin, Cian began to share his own experiences with the younger generation, passing on the lessons he had learned along the way. He told them the story of the wise old man who had taught him that wisdom could not be given, but had to be found within oneself. He shared the stories of his travels, the challenges he had faced, and the lessons he had learned. And as he spoke, Cian saw the same light of understanding in their eyes that he had once seen in his own reflection. He realized that the cycle of wisdom was continuing, just as Erin had intended. And so, the legacy of wisdom in the village lived on, passed down from one generation to the next. Each person added their own experiences and insights, enriching the collective wisdom of the community. They learned to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow and to understand life more deeply. The village flourished, not because of material wealth, but because of the wealth of wisdom that each person carried within them. Cian lived a long life, filled with adventure, learning, and teaching. He never stopped seeking wisdom, and in his old age, he became known as the wise man of the village, much like Erin before him. But Cian always reminded those who came to him for advice that true wisdom was not something he could give them. Wisdom, he would say, is a journey you must take yourself. It is found not in my words, but in your experiences, your reflections, and your willingness to grow. As Cian neared the end of his life, he looked back with contentment. He had lived fully, learned deeply, and shared generously. He knew that the wisdom he had gained would continue to grow in the hearts of those he had touched. And as he took his final breath, Cian felt a deep peace, knowing that the path of wisdom was eternal, and that he had been a part of its journey. His spirit joined the whispers of the trees, guiding others on their own paths of wisdom. And so, the wisdom of the old man, passed down through Cian and others, continued to guide the villagers for generations. They learned to value each experience, to embrace failure as a teacher, and to seek understanding in all things. The village became a place where wisdom flourished, where each person contributed to the collective knowledge and understanding of life. And through it all, the memory of Erin and Cian lived on, a testament to the enduring power of wisdom.